going to show you how to catch the jab. Actually, in boxing, it's called parrying.
Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to another episode of the Parry. Welcome to the Parry's Weekly Boxing Report. I am your host, Bomani UFG.
And I am the pragmatic Jay Black.
We'd like to welcome y'all to our first installment. It's going to be a weekly installment of boxing news, for the hardcore boxing fans, and even educating some casuals about what's going on in the world of boxing. Jay Black, what's good with you, brother?
Same fight, different round, but I'm still swinging. You already know.
No doubt. So let's get into this. You know what I'm saying? First up, man. What's the biggest news on the boxing scene this week, man? What we talking about?
Well, the biggest news, a lot of news actually. We have ERROL Spence recently had undergo eye surgery to remove a cataract from his eye, in the surmounting list of excuses now for why he actually lost the fight to Crawford. And in fact, he was even he even went as far as being quoted as saying, the shit was covering my eye. Why do you think I got hit with so many jabs and hooks? Still a great performance, bro. Speaking on Crawford, which, there you see him in a wheelchair as he posted his tweet. And, you know, it's it was bad timing. Now we have a rematch that was initially supposed to take place December. Then they were talking maybe January. Now with the surgery, which is going to be 2 months of recovery, and then you're looking at 2 months of a training camp, which would be at least 4 months. So we're talking about a fight that for a rematch wouldn't happen till possibly May or June. Uh, the earliest May, June. So with that being said, I don't know what's really going on with Crawford. He's claiming he had a cataract. He also recently confirmed that his rib was broken going into the fight, which I'm not gonna say that the man is lying, but I find it hard to believe that you're preparing for the biggest fight of your career. This is one of those uh, career defining fights. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna go in there, and anything less than 100% is mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me that now he had a cataract, and the fact that if you're gonna have an immediate rematch, because he claims that this is a surgery that he should have been had, you're gonna have a rematch, and you know his schedule. Wouldn't it be wouldn't the common knowledge or the common sense be to immediately get that corrective surgery done so that you could possibly be in the ring by maybe February, January, February, from the time of they fought in July. So he's saying that he went into a fight in July with the cataract that he said he been needed to take care of. So we're assuming that it was a possible, in the Ugas fight, which he destroyed Ugas, wasn't getting hit with all type of hooks and jabs. It just seems bad timing, and it just seems a little suspect that now he's willing to postpone the fight by having a surgery. At this stage, he waited all the way until January. He waited all the way until the second week of January to decide that now he wants to have a corrective surgery, which is going to push back the immediate rematch that he wanted. Which then brings into question that, okay, first you was weight drained, then your rib was broke, now you got a cataract. You know, like what's next, man? What's next? The emotional issues now. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife was arguing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like what's gonna be the next excuse in these surmounting excuses that he seems to be coming up with for why he lost the fight? And I think it's taken away from the victory that Crawford had with this.
I think everything that he mentioned in regards to what he was dealing with going into the fight, all of this could be factual, right? He could have got injured his rib in sparring. He actually could have been dehydrated or weight drained going into the fight. Could have had a cataracts on his eye before the fight. But after you get dog walked in the fight, you like a man, like a champion. You stand in front, you know what I'm saying, in front of the world, and you say, I'm not gonna make any excuses. Terrence Crawford was the better fighter tonight, and that's commendable. I think as a champion, that's how you should conduct yourself on a loss like that. You don't take away, or put a any type of like you don't want to dull the man's moment. So you walk away from that, but your head still held high, knowing that, yo, look, I came in here prepared, ready to fight. This man was the better man tonight. And you just go home and you deal with whatever issues you got to deal with, because like all fighters, whether MMA or boxing or what have you, even probably professional athletes, basketball players, football players, injuries is a part of the sport. You don't make excuses. Now, he said he wasn't making any excuses, and here we are 6 months or so later, and now all of these excuses is popping up. Then he tweets them and then takes the tweets down. Now, this is what I found interesting in regards to Errol Spence and what he had to say about that night in July when he fought Terrence Bud Crawford. Let's read the tweet.
Okay.
He said, all that said, you can kill the retire Ish though. Yeah, I got my ass beat. Ish was past due. I didn't live exactly like a boxer for the most part. Now, is it that you had a bruised rib? Is it that you had a cataract on your eye? Is it that you was weight drained? Or is it that you just wasn't disciplined like a champion supposed to be, and you got your ass whooped for it? This sounds more like, if you're going to have an excuse for losing, this is the one you should have came out with and left it. I wasn't living the disciplined life of a boxer. I had habits outside the ring that had prohibited me or made me not my best on that night. All the other stuff he could have saved, in my opinion, bro. Not saying he lying. All of that stuff could be true. Clearly, he had surgery on his eye. But you go through a physical before you get in the ring. But we also know, just if you remember, last week, Virgil Ortiz, his opponent, Lawson, my man had 3 brain aneurysms. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't win, and he had a test to find out he had an aneurysm. He still got through and was able to fight. So doctors, boxing is one of the most corrupt sports, so anything can happen. He could have had a cataract. The doctor could have saw it and still let him fight. Why? Because there's money on the table. It's the biggest fight of the year. So with that being said, you know what you was dealing with walking into that ring. You know you had issues and you wasn't going to be on your best on that night. But after you get dog walked, I'm not trying to hear it, bro. I'm not even trying to hear it.
It's one of those things where, okay, if that was going to be your immediate excuse, I have to agree. So leave it at that. However, if you have an immediate rematch clause that's going to be exercised, why not wait till after the rematch to say, well, the first fight I came in, I wasn't 100%, or at least during the build up to that fight, like, look, this fight, you didn't even wait till the build up of the rematch to come with these excuses, which I could almost see that. I could see, you're going into the fight and they say, what's going to make this fight different? Well, the last fight I was out there hanging out with rappers, I was smoking weed, I was partying, this, that, and the third. And he's saying it's a long time coming. So what I'm trying to figure out is, are you saying that, the Ugas fight, you had these same habits going into that fight, a fight where you went in there and Ugas, who is a world-class fighter, you broke his orbital bone, you broke his nose, as well as his ribs. You went in there with it, which was a spectacular performance, and now you're telling me that performance was played with the same things that you went in the ring with Bud Crawford with, and the result was just that drastically different. And then, upon further look, Bomac recently released video footage of Terrence, Errol Spence as an amateur. This is going all the way back to his amateur days, basically looking the same way he looked against Crawford, taking the same punishes and the same type of punishment. So maybe there's really a style situation going on here, and Bomac and Crawford were able to come up with a game plan that enabled them to completely wash Errol Spence. You know,
I
maybe it
mean,
was something that they seen in his actual technique. You know,
well, I mean, that's to me. I think as the observer, as the fight fan watching the fight, that's what I want to believe. That's what it appeared to be. And don't rob me as the fan of a great moment, right? And at the same time, being Errol Spence, you coming out with all of this information, tweeting this happened, this happened, this happened, and then at the same time, right after that, you delete the tweets. For the rematch, you actually putting more pressure on yourself,
absolutely.
right? Because now it's like, okay, well, yeah, I had a bruised rib, cataracts, weight drain. Okay. Now you get into the ring and it happens again.
Well,
You know
see,
what I'm saying?
speaking of the weight drain issue, right, which is interesting. Now, if I'm Crawford, I'm fighting at 147 again. Because now you're telling me that the weight drain wasn't really the issue. The issue was you couldn't see the punches. You
Right.
understand? And you had a broke rib. So fix your rib. You got the cataract off. I'm gonna whip your ass again at 147. That if I'm Crawford, that's how I'm looking at it. You know, don't change your excuse. You should have just stuck to, you know what, I wasn't right at this weight. I was drained. And then, like I said, in the build up to the next fight or even after the fight, you could let it be known. Look, I went into the first fight half-ass prepared. I went into the first fight with injured with this eye situation, you know. And as you mentioned, fighters being checked before the fight. We know that there is corruption in the fight. We know that there's private clinics. We know that the Mayo Clinic allowed Ali to fight Holmes after he wasn't able to even do the finger to his nose test. You know, so we know that this happens. But Crawford responded recently with just that. And his response was, and I want to quote him correctly. His response was just that. It was um, last I checked, last I checked, fighters get their eyes tested before the fight. So you know, you're opening up a can of worms now because now you're saying that you had this injury. Who covered the injury up now? That becomes the next question. So you mean to tell me that you went and got your eye examined and somebody gave you the bypass, which is extremely dangerous. This is why we have these tests to make sure that these fighters are in the best of shape and the best of health. You know, boxing averages about 9 deaths a year in the ring. So we have to think about the safety of these fighters when they're going into the ring. So with that said, it's just hard to not see this as an excuse. And now pardon me, Errol Spence is starting to really look like a sore loser or a crybaby. It looked like he's coming up with a bunch of excuses, you know?
I would have to agree, man. I mean, again, excuses that can actually be true. Not saying he's a liar,
Right,
but
right.
stand on what you said, which is I'm not gonna make any excuses. So don't give none.
He went as
Before or
far as to
after.
say, excuse me, not to cut you, brother. He went as far as to say, no excuses, and if I had any, I wouldn't give them.
Right.
And now you have a slew of excuses. You went from if I had any, I wouldn't give them to a whole slew of excuses. You know,
Right.
it's definitely one of them situations where, come on, Crawford. Come on, Spence. Pardon me, I keep doing that. Come on, Spence. You gotta stick to your guns and go for the rematch. And like I said, to end that one, why are you waiting this long to have a surgery that actually puts the fight in jeopardy? Because
Right.
I'm Crawford. I'm just looking to move on now. I'm looking to move on and okay, let me see you in the ring with someone else now. Because our contract got to be void at this point. Like the immediate rematch can't possibly happen, and I'm supposed to sit on the shelf and not maximize my potential. I'm in the spotlight right now. I'm the guy to beat right now. You know, I'm the guy. Why put me on the shelf? Because you want to sit on the shelf and have this eye surgery at this particular time.
Right. Not to mention, like, we done seen him on Instagram, Twitter, what have you. After the fight, he goes and he's taking vacations. Now I get it, man. You just got dog walk, and your face hurt. I want to go kick my feet up in Bali somewhere. You know what I mean? Go to Bora Bora or something. I get it. But
Hmm.
if you know you want that get back, at the same time you got a cataract on your eye that you supposedly had before the fight, which is
Right.
why he said he got hit with all them left hooks and right crosses. You should have took care of that before you went on vacation, fam. Could have kicked your feet up with your eye patched up somewhere in Bora Bora, you know what I'm saying, healing, so that way we can get this rematch. But like you said, what is Terrence Crawford supposed to do at this point? Does he
And
wait around now for my man to heal up? You know what I'm saying? Or does he move on?
keep in mind, this is the same eye that he had the detached
His
retina from.
retina. Right.
So I'm it like not to call him a liar, but it was it really a cataract or did Terrence Crawford re-injure his eye?
That's a good question.
You
That's a
know,
good question, man. Before we move on, man, I just want to remind the family, you know what I'm saying? Jab that like button, uppercut that subscribe button. Go ahead and lead hook that share button. Throw a combination at the notification bell. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter at the Parry 101, TikTok at the .parry.101. Follow the best. Support the best. The Parry Weekly
no,
Boxing Report
the #1 boxing program on the internet right now in the world.
on the planet.
Indeed. So
But yeah,
speaking of Crawford, though, we can get into some Crawford news, some Crawford business. You know, we got Teofimo Lopez calling out Crawford now. You
right.
know, saying he wants to make this fight and going as far as to say that all the fighters he fight was injured or he didn't fight nobody for real or whatever he's trying to say. You know,
Well, let's
which
let's let's take a look at this, man. I'm just gonna pull up the Twitter real quick. I'm gonna pull up the Twitter, the X or Twitter, whatever they calling it now. Your man Elon Musk. That's a crazy
Elon
name,
Musk,
Musk, if you ask me, man. Yeah, the Musk.
the Musk.
You know what I'm saying? Terrence Bud Crawford. Let's go down his Twitter. He was recently called out by Teofimo Lopez. You had Jerome Boots Ennis calling him out. You see Teofimo and Bud had a nice little exchange going back and forth. You see right here, Boots Ennis. He responding to Boots. But let's go see what Teofimo had to say over here. Well, we do know he was claiming that his resume was he was throwing some skepticism on his resume. This fighter was
Indeed.
injured. This fighter was injured when you fought him, which is weird coming from Teofimo Lopez, who after he got his ass whooped by George Kambosos, said he almost died or something with his lungs and all types of madness. And then and after he fought Lomachenko went and had surgery on his shoulder. So I don't really get all of this stuff that he's talking now, but I'm just trying to find the tweets.
It
But he was
seems like
going at
he's trying
Bud.
to. It seems like he's trying to get under Bud's skin, and of course he wants that ticket. You know, that's a hell of a ticket right there, fighting Bud Crawford. The world is going to be watching Bud Crawford's next fight,
You
and
see the
so the next
exchanges, them
opponent
going
he
back and
picks is
forth.
going to be big.
Terrence Crawford tweets, Mr. Two times, I guess the two-time undisputed, Mr. First to do it. And he says, and still ain't win fighter of the year. This guy's a troll. You know what I'm
Shout
saying?
out to. I will say this though, real quick. Shout out to ERROL Spence for acknowledging the fact that Sports Illustrated and Ring Magazine skipped over Terrence Crawford for Fighter of the Year, with Sports Illustrated naming Devin Haney, which I believe was deserved. I think that there were other people who possibly and probably should have gotten that nod, like the Parry who gave Terrence Crawford Fighter of the Year. Ring Magazine, though, however, went with how you pronounce my man's first name? Anyway, the monster. Anyway, they went with him as Fighter of the Year for Ring Magazine. So, but go ahead, continue.
Terrence Crawford tweets at Teofimo Lopez, you little BA better worry about them little guys that's on your ass down there in your weight class. It's crazy every time I see your whole ass. You don't even look my way. But when you in front of a camera, you got so much to say. You are punane. I'm going to say it like that. And Teofimo responds, Town will tell you also need to focus on getting yourself out that trap contract you in with Errol Spence and Al Heyman. See you at the top, brother. Hashtag no sucker. I guess it's supposed to be plead the fifth, but that's my man, that's the Vulcan sign or whatever. But yeah, He's talking real greasy
No, that's the
to the
five.
best fighter in the world.
The
Yeah, now I
five.
get it. But he over here saying, he's calling out uh Bud Crawford, Teofimo Lopez, man who, kind of been ducking that Haney smoke, in my opinion. He's calling out Bud Crawford. Is this clout chasing, or do he really want this fight?
I believe he really wants to fight. I believe, I mean, there is clout chasing. There are people who call out fights and aren't really interested in that fight. They just clout chasing or trying to, you know, just make it look like a fighter is ducking them when really there's other obligations that fighter may have or more pressing fights that fighter should be taking. But in this particular situation, I do believe Teofimo Lopez wants that fight. This is a fight that can really put him back in that spotlight that he once, he's still a very promising, very good fighter. There's still, I think he has a lot more to prove in the ring and he will. But this is one of them fights that will instantly put him back in that spotlight. And if he does win, you're beating the number one pound for pound fighter, which puts him in a whole nother trajectory, puts him in a whole nother echelon, I should say, as far as prize fighting goes, because remember there is a business and these people are definitely thinking about the business of fighting. And the Mayweather era definitely showed us the importance of securing the bag as opposed to securing legacy.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, is he like legit chasing a fight with Bud, or is it about the paycheck? You know what I'm saying? Or is it just about the clout? Because he called out Devin. He had a call out of Devin Haney,
Hmm.
but didn't really actually pursue the fight. Said he wanted 20 million to fight Devin Haney. How much you think he gonna want to fight Bud Crawford? Like, if you really want to fight Bud, you ain't getting 20 mil to fight Bud. Let's just keep it a bean. You're not getting 20 mil, or is he? You know what I'm saying?
I
I
mean,
think, to me, I kind of feel this is clout chasing.
I don't think that he's being realistic with 20 million on it, asking for 20 million. I don't think that that's realistic.
Well, I will say this: another fighter calling out Bud, and to me, this seemed like a legit call out. But Bud Crawford seemed to think different. Jerron Boots Ennis, he tweets at Bud Crawford, "You send it, I'll sign it. Send the contract, I'll sign it." Bud Crawford responds by saying to him, "With that tweet, did I lose it?" He says, "Like I said before, Jerron Ennis had two opportunities to fight me. We talking about a kid that's still fighting in the theater. Make it
Mm.
make sense." But he's
And when he
looking,
says cents, he
he's look
means is it enough
dollars,
dollars to equal cents? But
right?
go ahead.
But it's like I really think that he's looking past um Boots Ennis, not like he's not a good fighter, but he wants a big fight. Now who's out there for him? Teofimo Lopez is actually probably a bigger fight than is it Teofimo and him a bigger fight than Boots?
I would
I don't
say
know.
so. Teofimo Lopez has a bigger fan base. He brings, yeah,
Better
I believe
resume
so. A
and a
better
better
resume,
resume
and a bigger fan base. So I would definitely have to say that Lopez is the bigger fight for Boots. Is it the? I mean, for Crawford.
for Crawford.
Is it the better fight? Like that on like in the ring? Is it going to translate to the better fight? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with Enos that needs to be answered, but for the most part, it's he's looking very positive. It's not so much of you know it's more can he is he as good as he looks? That's really what the question marks is. It's not so much of is he ready for this fight? Is he as good as he's been looking? And we'll know that when you step into the ring with world class competition and you get no bigger than the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, Terrence Bud Crawford.
If I had my choice of the two, I think Teofimo need to go ahead and deal with the fighters in his own division. You got Devin Haney over there with a strap. We got Matias out there. You know what I'm saying? Man, I even watch you fight Regis Prograde. You know what I'm saying? You know he just lost to Devin Haney. I'd rather watch that than watch my man Bud dog walk you. Like,
I think
I'm good
that
on that. Give me Boots Ennis versus Bud, man. That's the fight I want for Bud next, man, to keep it a beam with you.
I think that Teofimo Lopez versus who's the three guys you just said?
Matias,
Matias.
uh,
I believe that that's the fight that if I'm Lopez, that's what I'm looking to fight right now. That a win over Matias would really put your name back up in that category. That's a guy that nobody seems to want to face right now. He's a dangerous opponent. Great offensive skills, great defensive skills. He can fight you in front of you with that guard, and then he knows how to hook and uppercut off of that guard. I think that will be a great fight for him, and it's a dangerous fight for him. Though it's one of them fights that I don't know how the reward plays out, but it's a high risk fight. So you want to maximize your reward in a fight like that.
but to give Teofimo credit, man, he did send Matias an offer. I believe he said I think Matias was injured, turned it down, had a hand injury. Devin Haney also attempted to reach out to Matias to fight, never materialized for whatever reason. But I agree with you. I think a Teofimo Lopez Matias fight would be an excellent fight. But again, stop going above your weight class, calling out the pound for pound #1 fighter when you still ain't deal with Devin Haney. You ain't fight Tank yet. You got Shakur Stevenson, who's probably gonna be moving up soon to, you know what I mean, to give y'all some work. Man, he got enough work where he at to be trying to move up to fight the best pound for pound fighter in the world. And I think um, Boots Ennis need to go ahead and fight Bud next, either at 147 or at 154. So that's the fight. Like, if it ain't gonna be Errol Spence, if it ain't gonna be Canelo or none of the Charlos for Crawford,
Hmm.
he need to go ahead and fight Boots, man. I think it's time now. I think it's time for Boots Ennis and Bud Crawford to go ahead and get it on, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So let's hope the boxing gods manifest that one, because that's a big fight. That's a big fight for us hardcores. I don't know about the casual fans and what
Absolutely.
the turnout will be for that, but for us hardcore fans, for me, that's the fight I want to. If it ain't gonna be Spence rematch, let's do Bud Crawford, Boots Ennis, 147 or 154, wherever the champ wanted to be at. You know what I'm saying? Wherever the champ wanted to be at. If you want, if Boots, move up to 154 if need be. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
Give the people
I'm on
what
the
they
fence
want.
with
We
that.
want that fight. What you
I
mean?
want that fight. No, I want that fight. That's a fight that I want to see badly. I
Mm.
definitely want to see that fight. But what I'm saying is I'm on the fence is I'm looking at Crawford. He just recently stated that with all of this going on with the Spence debacle and everything happened, he said that it's a possibility that he may retire or take one more fight and then retire. If I'm Crawford, I'm really looking for the biggest fight that could be made. I'm looking for the biggest paycheck that could be made. I do believe that, you know, he can probably get the biggest paycheck against in a rematch with Spence. Even though I do think that there's a lot of public, a lot of the casuals are looking at it like it's going to happen the same way all over again. He's going to beat his ass again. However, with those excuses, he does kind of make it a little bit more. Well, let's see how he comes. It does bring that intrigue. Like you said, it puts the pressure on him, but that pressure also can bring in ticket sales. The people see, are you going to get beat in the same fashion, or are you going to be able to, show and prove that it was the eye, it was the rib, it was the weight train, or whatever you want to call it. Like I said, it was my eyelashes got dangled, whatever the case may be. What's going to happen. So I do think that that's the biggest fight for. Oh shit, pardon me. I do think that that's the biggest fight for Terrence Crawford is Errol Spence on
Yeah,
paper.
we almost running out of time, man. So let's go ahead and get through some more of this news. How about the Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia? There was an agreement. I believe there was in negotiations to fight, and then we caught wind of, or there was footage of Ryan Garcia out there hanging out with Floyd Mayweather, going on nighttime jogs together. Looking like
Hmm.
Floyd was in that boy ear, in that man's ear. You know,
Hmm.
And then he turns around and says he's not fighting Devin Haney. He's walking away from that, and he wants to fight Riley.
Right.
Did,
Right. Right.
did Floyd put a little bug in his ear? Did Floyd like what's happening here? He's not even promoted by Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
according to his actual promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, uh, Oscar Fishnet De La Hoya, according to according to Mr. Fishnet,
The Golden Boy, man. The
the
Golden Boy.
the
The Golden
yeah
Boy.
the golden
Yeah.
shower. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
According to he brought it on himself. He brought it on himself. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, here at the Parry, we don't duck no smoke. We don't duck or pull no punches. so,
Yeah.
so what that said about De La Hoya, though? You know what I mean? We're still calling himself a boy, a golden boy. According to De La Hoya, he went with a jog with Mayweather, and all of a sudden, before the fight, his plans was to fight Haney. He went on a jog with Mayweather. Now he wants to fight Riley. Of course, Riley is an easier route for him. It's an easier situation, but I do think that Mayweather got in his ear, and I think that there's many layers on why a fight with Haney is not in his favor, and I'm sure Mayweather pointed a few of them out. One of them being the fact that he can get more money. It's looking like when you look at pay-per-view sales and buys, it's looking like he can make it. It'll be a bigger fight purse-wise for him, not for the sport, but purse-wise. It's appearing to be, at least from what Oscar, at least from what the numbers are saying. I'm only going by what pay-per-view sales are saying. It seems like a bigger fight. With that also said, you have to really look at Haney. And I'm starting to figure out why these guys don't want to fight Haney. Why these guys around 135, 140 don't want to fight Haney. Haney looks like he's walking around as a light heavyweight down there. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm starting to suspect that Haney is doing something that Oscar De La Hoya did for years. When Oscar De La Hoya was at 130 pounds and 135 pounds walking around, or was it 135, 140 pounds fighting before he even went up to welterweight, you're talking about a guy who was walking around at 160 pounds. Oscar De La Hoya never should have been fighting at them low weight divisions, and it was giving him a crazy unfair advantage. And I believe that a lot of these fighters like Tank, fighters like Teofimo Lopez, I think these fighters are looking at that and saying, do I really want to get in there with this guy who, by the time we fight, we're fighting at what? Junior welterweight, and there's a possibility that he could be a junior middleweight by the time we step into the ring. So I do
Super
think that that's a
middleweight.
concern.
He walked in the ring. He walked in the ring, I believe, 165 when he fought Regis. Like he's damn near super. He's super middleweight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we hear all this talk about him moving up to fight people like Thurman and things of this
Mario
nature.
Barrios.
And Mario Barrio, which that's looking like it'll possibly be the next fight. But when you look at a person that confident to step up and weight like that, it's probably because he knows that he's comfortable as a man walking around at that weight. And maybe he's outgrown the division. And it's probably, that's a strain on your body right there to be cutting weight like that. It's like turning your body into a washing rag and then just squeezing out all the water and then just letting it rehydrate up. That's gonna take a toll on you in the long run.
Well,
And it's gonna shorten your boxing career.
I think
in the
if
long
you,
run.
in my opinion, I think it probably got more to do with the skill level of a Devin Haney. More, and on top of the walk in the ring weight.
Well, the skill level
may,
absolutely is a factor. But go ahead.
But like, so at the end of the day though, man, I ain't trying to hear all that. Yo, you can rehydrate just like this man. As long as he make weight on fighting on at the weigh-in, whatever that man walk into the ring that night, that's what he walk into the ring as, man.
And
if
I
you got the skills pay the bills. But I understand what you're saying because Tank has been saying for a long time, yo, I'm a 135 pounder. Even though he fought at 140, he's a 135 pounder, and honestly, he is like a smaller guy. That's for sure. But he punches like a goddamn cruiserweight, or even a heavyweight, maybe, man. The way this dude be, knocking cats' heads off, man. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna need Tank to go ahead and mix it up with my man Dev or Ryan, man. Go ahead and mix it up with my man Dev. Like,
This is where we
like,
split.
oh, hold on. But just to address your point real quick though, about possibly being a bigger check outside of fighting Devin for Ryan Garcia, I disagree with that. I don't see how fighting Riley, fighting Riley. Nah,
Riley has a fan base. Riley sells tickets. Like Riley sells
no,
tickets.
no. Riley sold tickets when he fought Tank. He sold on pay per view when he fought Tank. Same thing with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia last fight wasn't on pay per view. That was on the zone for the freebie. You know what I'm saying? For the price of your subscription, you saw Ryan Garcia fight Oscar Duarte. You know what I'm saying? That fight
Mm,
wasn't on pay per view. When you a pay per view fighter, you fight on pay per view. Devin Haney last two fights were on pay per view. He fought Regis Prograis on the Zone pay per view, and he fought Lomachenko on ESPN Top Rank pay per
okay,
view. You know what I'm saying? So
I know what
fan
you're saying.
bases and all that aside, look, I don't know how many pay per views. I still don't know what the official numbers are, but people saying everything from
It's been reported that
35,000.
the 55 is between 35 and 55 from what I've been seeing. I haven't seen nothing higher than 55,000.
I haven't seen anything officially from the zone either. So
Okay.
what I will say is there there seems to be this people want to downplay the status of Devin Haney. And the best way to do that is, well, he's not a draw. Even though he sold out an arena, even though he had two fights back to back on pay per view, regardless of the numbers, right? We don't. I'm gonna say I don't know the numbers. I know what's been reported, but we don't actually know the numbers. And at least for the Regis Prograis fight, we don't know the numbers. But when cats don't want to fight you, they say you're not a draw. They was doing that to Bud Crawford. Oh, he's not a draw
Um,
because they ain't want to get in the ring with him.
I'll say this. You mentioned the pro Grace fight in Haney, and if the numbers were between 35 and 55, which I'm going to assume that they actually were, they could be wrong, it could be off, but I haven't heard the zone disputing these numbers. I haven't heard, these seem to be the numbers. Only person I've heard even speak on any numbers higher than that came from Haney's camp. So I'm pretty much figuring that it's between 35 and 55. I'm gonna just make that assumption. If that's the case, in all honesty, to me, that fight should have been on the zone. That's not a successful fight. So with that being said, even though Haney did fight two pay-per-view fights back to back, I believe that the second fight wasn't. And I never believed it from the beginning. I never believed that a fight with Prograis was pay-per-view worthy. And I think that what Bill Haney is doing is exactly what the Haney camp is doing is exactly what they was accusing the Mayweather fight of doing, or Mayweather in the Mayweather era of doing, and that's just putting the fight on pay per view just to put the fight on pay per view. I don't believe that was a pay per view worthy fight on paper, and from if the numbers are correct, I don't think that's right. So with that being said, it's still I'm not 100% sure that the Devin Haney or Riley would be who would be the bigger draw in that, but I have to look at the fact that you're talking about two Hispanic fighters who these Hispanic fighters in the last 20, 30 years have been, able to do pay-per-view numbers that a lot of other fighters haven't been able to do. In fact, when even black fighters fight these Hispanic fighters, their pay-per-view fights, it brings in a bigger crowd because there's more of a national pride that follows these fighters as opposed to the people who just like boxing in a sense. I don't think that just because they're Hispanic fighters that they're going to do better than black fighters. I'm never going to subscribe to that. We've seen that Terrence Crawford and ERROL Spence was a huge fight and it did huge numbers. So I'm not going to just go into that whole logic. But I do think that the fight with Riley and Ramirez, with Riley and Garcia, uh, would probably be on paper a bigger fight. Is it a better fight? And is it a better fight for boxing? Probably not. But for the individual, possibly.
But I think if the numbers on Haney Prograis are true, which we don't know. And if anybody would know, it will probably be the Haneys. Everybody's talking but the zone or the Haneys about them numbers. But anyway, with that being said, I'm not paying to watch Riley and Ryan Garcia, man. I don't want to pay that. I'm not paying to watch that. I'm
But you
not.
don't think that that would be a big fight, though? You don't think that that fight would sell tickets on pay per view? We know it's going to sell
It's
the arena. We know
honestly,
that's that part.
I mean, again, Ryan Garcia couldn't sell out the arena in his last fight. Riley is not selling out any arenas. Like, let's be clear. Like, those of us who watch boxing know that I don't want to disrespect the guy. Okay, but he ain't no draw for me. Where, well, Riley Romero was fighting whoever over here in this arena around the block from my house. I'm not sure if I'm going. I'm gonna keep it a bean. Like, he ain't no draw for me. And what I know is, if the numbers are true in regards to Devin Haney versus Prograis, I don't think them numbers do that much better, if at all. If at all. Now, I know Ryan Garcia got a huge social media following, but that don't equate to ticket sales, and that's clear because he didn't sell out his last arena, right? And Riley Romero, he's more looked at as like the court jester of boxing. People interview him just to. I don't even think he know that he's the joke.
But that still translates to ticket sales, though. It still translates to popularity. I get exactly what you're saying, but I think a fight,
I don't
these two
know.
guys fighting each other, I think these two guys fighting each other sells tickets. And
Could be, man.
I think financially it makes sense. There is this. I'm not necessarily convinced 100% that it's the bigger fight, but I can see it, and I do think that that's part of Mayweather getting into his ear. You know,
Well,
but moving along though.
yeah.
Um,
Moving on. What else we got?
We got
Uh,
up. Well, we could talk about. I guess we could leave that for last. The upcoming fights coming up. You know,
right.
Bill
Uh,
Haney recently. Um,
got into
Bill
it with
Haney's response. Before that, we're getting the Bill Haney news, but Bill Haney responded to Garcia not taking the fight.
right.
Or was it Riley? Who was
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. He responded.
Yeah, he
Basically,
responded to
he
Garcia.
said because he got the invite from Golden Boy to go to the Virgil Ortiz fight, so he's
Mhm.
out there, and pretty much after Ryan Garcia said he's not fighting Devin Haney, he's going around to the Mexican fans asking them, is Ryan Garcia La Raza? And they was like, nah,
Mm,
he ain't repping.
mm,
He's not
mm,
representing. That's not how we do over here, man.
mm.
And I don't know, man. Where's Ryan's Mexican pride, man? I'm not La Raza. Hold on, let me get that fight. That's what I'm saying. Nobody wants to see this Riley Romero fight. Nobody's calling for that, man. And not to mention though, he may have to fight my man's name Barboso. My man's name
Barbosa. Barbosa. Yeah, Barbosa.
is the name that's escaped. Yeah, the
It's
one who just
Barbosa.
knocked out. He knocked out homeboy in the first round. And that's the dude who Roddy lost to, but he got the victory for on his last fight. He may have to fight him again for that strap. That's his mandatory now.
That
So Ryan
in a
Garcia may not
fight
even
that
get that fight.
he probably I don't think he deserved the nod. In a fight that I don't even think he deserved the nod. But
Nobody thought
that's
he
neither
won
here
that
nor
fight.
there. But Bill Haney's response was kind of funny to me. Bill Haney is turning out to be a character. And I like Bill Haney though. I'm not even, but he's starting to remind me of the classic fathers in boxing. Almost like who is it? Listen, Lopez. He's reminding me of these guys. He's talking about the money machine in the background and the money that they offering, and that's the fight he needs to take, and the fight is on the table. He's really a strong proponent for his son. I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying? And I thought the commentary was funny. You know what I'm saying? But I thought the back and forth was funny. And then after the fight, we got to see some more little bit of drama with Bill Haney
And Bernard
in the
Hopkins.
form of Bernard Hopkins, which I thought was really also comical. The drama, the calling him out to the bathroom, and then of course the infamous shove which was very
Yeah,
juvenile.
it wasn't
You
even a
know,
shove, man. It was more. It was like a shoulder bump. It was one of those
yeah,
like,
it was a show, like
you
a
know what I'm
shoulder
saying?
shove. You know, like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know
It
back.
was like it was a high school bully move. You know what I'm saying? You know, you walk.
All right, so basically, I mean, it was an immature move. I thought it was funny. You know, it, I mean, I don't see where that can go. I mean, what we gonna see a celebrity match against Hopkins and Haney, which I'm personally don't think that
Nobody
Haney
watching
wants
that.
to. Nobody wants to see. I wouldn't say nobody. I wouldn't say nobody. I wouldn't
Shout
say
out Bill
nobody.
Haney, man. Shout out Bill Haney, man.
But shout out Bill Haney because there was no scarecrow in that man. You know what I'm saying? There's
Nah,
definitely
he
no
wasn't shook.
scarecrow
He
in that
wasn't
man.
shook at all. He was with all the smoke. You know what I'm
But
saying?
Hopkins, he's not the guy though. But like Bill Haney said, hey man, you stand on where you mad at. you
That
know,
Hopkins
you
came
know what
through
I
with
mean?
the old high school bully move. You know, how dudes walk through the hallways and just, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you
Yeah,
get out the way. You know what I mean? He was on some old bully shit. You know what I'm saying? But, Bill wasn't having it, man. Shout out Bill Haney. You know what I'm saying? Standing on business. That's the new term everybody talking about now.
I
Standing on
keep hearing
business.
this. Yeah, standing on
Yeah,
business.
standing on business. I come
Bill
from the era where
Haney stands
we
on
handled our
business.
business.
Yeah,
We handled
yeah.
our business. You know what I'm
Yeah, we
saying?
handled our business. Y'all standing on it. We from the era where we handled it. But now Bill Haney definitely stood on business in that aspect. And we got some upcoming fights this Saturday, I believe. We got some
Yeah.
upcoming
Hold on.
fights
Let me let me just remind the people to jab that
in
like button,
Quebec.
uppercut that subscribe button, lead hook that share button, throw a combination at the notification bell, drop the comment in the comment section, and follow us on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter at the Parry 101, TikTok at the dot Parry dot 101. We on Thread at the Parry 101. YouTube, Facebook, the Parry. You know what it is. We here. Bomani UFG, the pragmatic one, Mr. Che Black.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
But
Yes,
yeah, we got
sir.
some upcoming fights.
In Quebec City, Canada.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I was checking the prices of them tickets. Man, I probably should have made that move, man. Them tickets, for the good seats, was only like $1 and some change, man. I probably could have made that happen, but next time they have something out here in Canada, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got the Better BF,
Yeah, all the better BS, Callum Smith.
Colin Smith fight. Um, Better
Yeah,
BF
no,
probably put this dude in a coma. But this fight has been canceled on maybe like 2, 3 times already due to injury or whatever. Better BF ain't been in the ring in a minute, but he's coming back in there. Colin Smith could definitely crack. He's a good fighter. But we'll see what happens tomorrow, man. I ain't gonna get no
yeah.
prediction for this, but I don't see
My
why Better BF
prediction
wouldn't
is
win this
better
fight.
beef. My prediction is better beef. I'm not sure how he's gonna do it, but my prediction is it'll probably be a pretty easy fight for better beef.
He probably knocked. I mean, Better BF got 100% knockout percentage, man. He knocked out everybody he been in the ring with, so this probably won't be no different. But I ain't putting nothing past the Brit Callum Smith. Come from a fighting family. He could definitely fight. It's not no walkover, but we'll see, man. This for the unified light heavyweight championship. Hopefully he don't mess up the fight that a lot of us wanted to see, which is Better B versus Dimitri Bivol for the undisputed
Indeed.
light heavyweight championship. So we'll see what happens
You
with
know,
that.
both
Also coming
fighters
up,
just made weight. Oh my bad. I was just mentioning that both fighters made weight. Better Beef at 175 and Smith at 174.6. But
okay,
next we have
uh,
the Jason Maloney versus Sal Sanchez also on that card
okay.
for the
Coming up
WBO
right after,
bantamweight.
we got this fight coming up in February 8th. Teofimo Lopez against Jermaine Ortiz. This should definitely be a good fight. Looking forward to this one as well. Definitely going to be tuned into this one. Teofimo Lopez, I will say one thing I will give him. His fights are usually always entertaining, even in a loss. You know what I mean? Even when
Right.
he loses, his fights are entertaining, man. So, the takeover, as he calls himself, man. I gotta respect it. You know what I'm saying? He's the unified champion at junior welterweight, and he's fighting Jermaine Ortiz. But he's out here, accusing Jermaine Ortiz of being a dirty fighter, man. Using You know what I'm saying? Using them roids or something, man. I ain't really feeling that,
Oh,
man.
he's
And
accusing him of juicing. That's right. That's right.
yeah.
That's a
But
strong accusation.
man, deal with that in the ring, man. On the undercard of that fight, we got Keyshawn Davies versus Jorge Pedraza, the former champ at I believe at 130 or 135. He's probably mostly known for getting knocked out by Tank Davis for his first belt. But Jorge Pedraza is a decent fighter. He's going in there against Keyshawn Davies, who was recently suspended for